Welcome in to your Friday edition of Bet. The ladies holding down the fort for the second time this season. So Erin, Dolan, ANITA'S. Erin, how you doing?
I am good. Excited that it's Friday. We have an extended weekend. It's just the ladies, like you said, holding it down. So I'm excited for the show.
All right, let's do it. So let's start first and foremost. We got a lot coming your way. We're going to talk some NBA, Major League Baseball. Of course, we got the All-Star break. So we've got plays across the board, even some Daytona 500, some NASCAR for you. But let's start with the NBA. And first things first, Erin, I'm really curious. We've got quite a few games left, 22, 23, 24 games left for a lot of teams, a lot of squads. What are you most concerned about heading into the remainder of the NBA regular season?
I think I'm most concerned about the Brooklyn Nets. Now, it's quite interesting to me that they're the third team right now on the board in terms of winning the finals. They're plus 550. You have the Suns and the Warriors ahead of them respectively, and I think a lot of people are sleeping on the Suns, which is something I'm sure we can talk about either now or on Daily Wager later today. But at the same time, people are putting a lot of potential things, I should say, that the Brooklyn Nets are going to line up and suddenly have a great end of the season. Because I'm just confused. We have no KD right now currently still. Kyrie Irving, he's going to be playing only on the road. We know James Harden is coming to the city of Philadelphia. And then Ben Simmons is somehow, some way going to be implemented into the lineup. I mean, the Brooklyn Nets are still favored to win the East. I don't really understand this. I'm concerned. I don't think that they have a cohesive team that we've seen play together. I mean, KD and Kyrie have only played 3 games together this entire season, and that was at the beginning of January. So I am a little concerned for them because I think the odds makers still think they have such a great shot considering what we're looking at their odds, but at the same time, I don't think we're going to see a great Brooklyn Nets squad down the stretch.
Yeah, listen, I agree with you, and I know you're in Philly. I'm here in the New York area, and I host Sports Talk Radio here in New York. I can tell you there's a lot of concern for this ball club as well. Let's just hope that Ben Simmons like incense. Do you burn incense in your home? I mean, I think that's really a very, I think you really have to love it, and apparently it permeates throughout the entire Nets locker room. So hopefully Ben Simmons, I think that was a big key as to why Harden wanted out of Brooklyn and into Philadelphia. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense, but at the same time, I mean, I have my feelings on Ben Simmons, so I don't think it's going to help him as much as they think. As soon as he gets criticized by the Brooklyn Nets fans, which are just as bad, we'll see.
All right, so the one team I'm most concerned about, and that's the Lakers, especially AD going down with the knee injury. Keep in mind, they went 7-10 when he had the issues with the MCL and he was out. On top of that, Westbrook, as we know, it's been the big storyline all season long, is that he's just not a great fit on this Lakers team. LeBron James is dealing with a knee injury, and he came out and said, listen, the only thing that's going to help me out is if I rest, and I need to give it some rest. So what is that? That screams to me like, let's look forward to next season. The Westbrook experiment isn't working. I'm already 37 years old. Not only do I still want to try to win a championship here in LA, which, let's be honest, are they going to do it this year? Like, I think the big aspiration here is, did they make it in as the win and play-in game? Are they going to get past the Suns? No. Are they going to get past the Warriors? Absolutely not. And at the end of the day, what we hear a lot, Erin, is that LeBron wants to play with Bronny. And at that point in time, that's not going to be until 2024. So he's got to maintain those fresh legs. I'll be really surprised. There's 24 games left for the Lakers. I'm really curious how many games LeBron plays in those 24 games. So I am fading the Lakers big time. I don't even think they make it to the playoffs.
So you're fading the Lakers and I'm fading the Nets.
And there you have it. All right, Erin, hang tight. We're going to get back to you in a second. We're going to talk about Major League Baseball. We're going to go from the association to Major League Baseball. Jeff Passan is going to join us now live. Jeff, welcome into Bet. Great to see your face. A lot going on. You just heard Erin and I talk a lot of concerns in regard to teams in the NBA, specifically the Nets and the Lakers. But man, there's a lot of concern here with Major League Baseball, right? Like their 9th work stoppage. Negotiations, I understand, are picking back up on Thursday. But give me the two things that you know that are really going to have a huge factor on whether or not the season starts more sooner than later.
You know, it really comes down to this upcoming week, Anita. Starting on Monday, Major League Baseball and the Players Association plan to meet perhaps every day for actual bargaining as opposed to the sort of stuff they've been doing, which is technically actual bargaining, but it's been few and far between. The issues they're going to be talking about are manifold. I mean, they are far apart on the luxury tax threshold. They're far apart on the amount that young players are going to be getting paid, on the pre-arbitration bonus pool, which is a new idea to get more money into younger players' hands, on how to solve tanking, service time manipulation. There are a number of issues, but at least at this point, the sides seem to be focusing on the same things, and that's where you see a pathway to a deal come to fruition.
All right, so spring training was set to begin February 26th. Training camps, right, to start March 31st. The season, right? Spring training games, hopefully we're supposed to start by April. A lot of people planning vacation, Jeff. We know that, right? So what can we really realistically expect in regard to the timeline here?
Major League Baseball set a February 28th deadline to get the season, the regular season, started on time on March 31st. And if there's not a deal in place by then, we have the possibility of missing regular season games for the first time since 1995. And remember, of course, the strike that wiped out the 1994 World Series was the impetus behind all of the collective bargaining peace up until this year that Major League Baseball had. Today they postponed spring training games through at earliest March 5th, but in reality, even if a deal comes together by the end of next week, we're not looking until maybe the middle of March for the first spring training games to start, and then opening day would be 2 weeks later.
Okay, so as we know, 162 games, which I feel is way too long, but nonetheless, some people beg to differ. Realistically, if this, it's long, man. It is long.
I'm sorry. You get more sports, Anita. I feel so bad for you that you get more of something that's great.
It's funny, right? Like, I'm thrilled that we have 18 weeks now in the NFL, but like I'm complaining about 162 in Major League Baseball. But what do you if this plays out realistically? What do you think the length of the season's going to be?
Look, this could go really long if things turn ugly, and I'm not discounting the possibility that they could, but when you look at work stoppages in the past, like the strike in '94, they tend to be over single issues, and I don't think there's a single defining issue necessarily in the issues the sides rather, are talking about at this point that's going to postpone things for a long time. If opening day doesn't happen on time, I still see the season being 140 plus games, and would that be okay with you? Like 140 cool, 162 not?
Okay, I could do 140, 142. That's cool. I'm going to paraphrase Mike Tyson here. I promise I won't take a bite out of your ear. And that is, everybody has a plan until money starts coming out of their pocket. So, you know, and obviously we know there's the upper echelon of players who are making like a gazillion dollars. And then there's some that are making a fair amount of money, but it's going to hit them a lot harder than most. So when that happens, do you see dissension within within the Players Association and guys who are itching to get back into the game because their pockets are being strapped?
I mean, if we get to the point that regular season games are canceled, that's something on which the league, frankly, is going to bank, because the only way that you get a good deal is if you're able to split the union up, and well, that's been the objective in past negotiations. It hasn't worked, and the union has a couple $100 million in a war chest saved to try and tide players over. But yeah, when you have 1,200 guys in a union, they're not all going to agree with everything. They all have different individual financial motivations, but one of the main things that the union leadership has been projecting to the rank and file is unity. Unity is the most important thing, and as long as we stay together, which is what they're hoping for, we're going to be just fine in the end.
You know, deals were made before this really kind of all got out of hand, and one in particular, Max Scherzer, of course, going to the Mets. One would argue DeGrom stays healthy. You know, I'm here in New York. Man, there's a lot of buzz. There's a lot of excitement about this Mets team. This is a gambling show. How confident are you that the Mets are going to make a really good play for the World Series this year, Jeff?
I'm not there yet. Look, they improved, no question about it. Going out and getting Eduardo Escobar and Mark Canha and, of course, Max Scherzer and Starling Marte. I mean, that's a pretty great quartet right there, and it makes them a better ball club. And Lindor and Pete Alonso, a lot of it depends on Jacob deGrom's health. Like, Jacob deGrom barely pitched in the second half last year. If he stays healthy this season, and remember, he can opt out of his contract after this year. If you have him healthy, if you have Max Scherzer at his best, there is no better 1-2 combination in baseball. So I think the Mets are going to be contenders. I'm not all in yet on them, though, to be World Series winners.
So don't rush to the window. By the way, your vinyl collection, like, on tap, man.
Pretty
like,
good.
Beyond par.
Yeah.
Like, brownie points with me today, Jeff. Thank you so much. Great seeing you. Great seeing you.
You too, Anita. Thanks.
All right. So we go from Jeff to Erin. Erin, take it away.
Yes, let's bring in Mike Clay to talk Daytona 500. Look at this setup that he has in his basement. This is spectacular.
What's going on?
Look at that.
Yeah, I'm getting some laps in. You know, you never know when right, you never know when a substitute driver is going to be needed. So I have this rig in the basement. I practice every week, and I'm ready to go. You just got to call me up. I'm ready to go.
This is amazing. I love this. Okay, well, the Great American Race takes place this Sunday, and there's going to be a little bit of a tweak to the cars. So what can you tell us about the next-gen car and what makes it so different?
Yeah, so I actually talked to a source, a friend of mine that's down in Daytona that works on these cars for, some similarities between the old car and the new car. And he said, in terms of similarities, well, they both have one of these. They both have a steering wheel. Otherwise, a brand new car, right? A lot of changes, a lot still to learn, a lot of unknowns down at Daytona this week. It's in various areas, too. You look at the wheels. There's only one lug now, not 5 like there used to be. That's going to mean faster tire changes. It means it's going to be tougher to get 2 full tanks of gas in. Fuel mileage could obviously be an issue in a race like this at Daytona. Also, drafting's a big one. Now, we did see the dual races on Thursday night. We saw some good racing there, some pack racing, but we haven't seen yet, ever, with these cars, 40 cars drafting in a pack at almost 200 miles an hour. So that's a new thing, and we're going to see how that goes on Sunday. Cosmetically, the numbers are further forward. That's pretty much it. But, inside the car, a lot of changes. We're going to learn a lot this weekend.
That's so interesting. And last year we had Mike McDowell absolutely shock the world and win this. He was 101 coming into the day. He's now 40-1. Is there anybody that is 30-1 or higher that you think has a chance to win this?
Yeah, and he's still 40-1, right? So he's not getting much respect after the win last year, and he's generally good at super speedway. So you can still look that direction. But look, super speedways, whether it's Daytona or Talladega, we always get essentially, random winners, right? Not the favorites. You see underdogs win often. So there are a lot of places to look here. I'm looking at 40-1 Justin Haley. He won here at Daytona in 2019. He's only raced there actually 3 times in Cup. His finishes are 13th and 6th. He was last year in August. So he's had a lot of success here. Looking at him at 40-1. How about Ross Chastain? He's also 40-1. Kind of a new team. They changed up ownership a little bit, but he's still in essentially the same car. Just going to be number 1 this year. 7th in the Daytona 500 last year. So I think at 40-1, he's a guy that's going to contend you can look at. And then if you want to go deeper, I mean, this is the race, right? This is the race. If you want to go deep, Eric Jones, 75-1. I'm surprised he's that low. He won here back in 2018. That's a place to look. And I'll even throw Harrison Burton, right? We've seen this 21 Wood Brothers car win here in the Daytona 500 with Trevor Bayne before. Burton is a rookie. It's only his second Cup race, but again, he's 75-1. He was top 10 in qualifying. He was 3rd in his duel. He has a shot at this one. There's always lottery ticket winners here, and he's a shot at 75-1. I like that.
Okay, Mike, and Kyle Larson, he actually won pole for this event, but that hasn't been great luck in the past. The last pole winner was Dale Jarrett, and that was back in 2000 when I was just 3 years old. Right now, Larson's odds are 10-1 to win this. Do you like those?
Well, look, it's hard to say no considering how good Hendrick Motorsports has been at Daytona, right? They've been unbelievably fast here going back to last season, whether it's the old car or the new car. In fact, qualifying Wednesday night, of the top 5, 4 of them were the 4 HMS cars. That's how fast this team is. However, Kyle Larson has not had success at super speedways, right? I mean, 29 career starts, 0 wins, right? So I'm not really feeling Kyle Larson despite all his success last year and of course the HMS speed. I think it would actually, a little foreshadowing here, I think it would actually pivot to another HMS driver for this one.
All right, Mike, last question, because we all want to know with this incredible setup, who are you playing this weekend?
Yeah, so I just mentioned it. I teed it up. The teammate is Alex Bowman, right? Of the 4 HMS cars, he is the longest odds here at 18-1. So that's the direction I'm going to go here. He has longer odds, and again, it's 3 teammates, but also Bubba Wallace and Kurt Busch. I don't think that makes a lot of success. Makes a lot of sense for a guy that has been as good as Alex Bowman has been. Last year, only Kyle Larson had more wins. Bowman had 4, and still he's this low. He's on the front row. He had the pole here last year. He crashed early in the race, but he certainly would have been a contender. So at 18-1, loving Alex Bowman.
Love it. And Mike, thank you for joining us. Love that setup, and good luck this weekend.
Sounds good. Got to get back in the victory sim rig here. I'm going to get some laps, and again, if they need a sub down there, if you're watching, I'm ready to go.
I love it, man. Erin, that setup. I want that in my chick cave. That's amazing.
I know. I wish I had that as well.
Unbelievable. Let's move on from NASCAR back to the NBA again. It's All-Star Weekend. Let's take a look at the odds for the 3-point shooting contest. Okay, so we've got Van Fleet, we've got Mills, Trae Young, Zach LaVine, Kennard, Bain. Look at this. So Kennard favored at plus 450, Van Fleet 5-1, as well as Patty Mills. Trae Young, we know he's just great from behind the arc, plus 550. Here's a few of the odds. So taking a look at this board, Erin, who do you have your eye on? Who do you think is going to win the 3-point contest on Saturday night?
So I'm looking at Trae Young for this one. Now, I know Luke Kennard's going to be the favorite. He actually just moved down overnight, and that was because he had such a big night last night when the Clippers absolutely demolished the Houston Rockets. But I'm going with Trae Young. He does have a little bit of experience here. Now, he didn't participate in this last time, but he did participate in it 2 years ago. Nonetheless, he was knocked out the first round, so I do think he might seek some revenge here. Now, he doesn't have a great 3-point percentage compared to some of these other players like Luke Kennard. Luke Kennard actually has the best 3-point percentage out of everybody on the board, but he also has the least amount of points per game as well. So when you're really looking at this, you have to remember that he's only averaging about 21 minutes per game, whereas somebody like Trae Young, they're averaging 35 minutes per game. So of course, their 3-point percentage shooting might be a little bit worse, but again, he's out there every night trying to put up, threes from deep. So that's not too surprising there. I really like how Trae Young plays and how he shoots the ball. So I'm going to go with him at plus 550.
I can totally see that happening. For me, I'm going with Bain, especially at 6-1. Here's a few reasons why. He's 9th in the NBA in 3-point shooting this year. First in 3-point percentage. 43% in his last 8 games. 40% are better from each of the spots that he's going to be shooting from on Saturday night, and 72% on handoff threes this season. Not to mention, he's got the quickest release, so chances are he'll get more balls off than the average Bear. And I just feel people overlook him because he plays in the shadow of Morant, because he's on the same team. So I really like Bain at 6-1. Let's take a look at the odds for the Slam Dunk Contest, another fun event on Saturday night. And there's some big names there as well. One guy that I'm eyeing, and I'm going to go chalk here, Erin, right? And I'm going to go with Green. Why not? At plus 155, number 2 pick overall, right? He went to Houston. Probably a lot of people don't watch him because he plays on such a bad team. He doesn't get a lot of attention. Also, he went to the G League as opposed to college, so he didn't make a name for himself in college. He's uber athletic. He has some of the most insane dunks this season in the NBA. And when you hear him talk about this contest, he has dreamt of competing in this contest since he was a young pup. And he's planning some of the most creative, exciting dunks. So I'm going chalk, but also a long shot, and this is more pulling out my heartstrings, and that's Cole Anthony. I'm good friends with his father, Greg Anthony. I play golf with him. Keep in mind, you've got a lot of the coaches, even more so, that know Greg Anthony, who are probably going to be rooting for his son to win as well. And I can tell you this, one of the most infectious personalities Cole Anthony. He's got $1 million smile, and he's also, Erin, he's going to be the smallest dude on the court, and you know the fans are going to be cheering for him, and that's going to come with a lot of weight. Any thoughts on my 2 picks?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I feel like the dunk contest just in general is probably one of the most fun events of the weekend. I feel like it's one thing that's always kind of, resurfacing videos of. So it's exciting for new players to get the opportunity to be able to participate in this. And of course, if you feel like you don't have an edge for the game, maybe you dabble into some of these markets and really hone in on those.
All right, so let's turn to our attention to the big event, and that's on Sunday, and that's the All-Star game itself. We got Team LeBron going up against Team KD, even though KD's not even playing. LeBron's team is favored by 5.5. The over-under here, Erin, is ridiculous. It's at 321.5. So how are you playing this on Sunday?
I mean, I feel like you have to take LeBron. His team is absolutely stacked, so I'm going to take them there. And then you can't just not play the over in the All-Star game. I mean, what would be the point of taking the under? There's absolutely zero defense that is played in this game. I don't even really feel like you can find an edge in this game in terms of the spread, in terms of the over. I mean, we could go into, past histories and things like that, but it doesn't really matter. All these players are stars. I just think LeBron, of course, LeBron has, the best roster and best lineup. And on top of that, LeBron has gone 4-0 in the All-Star game, every time that he's been a captain. So also his bench is pretty good. I read this last night in ESPN Slack that since the All-Star game starters were announced on January 27th, Luka Doncic has averaged 35 points per game. That's the most by any player in the NBA. So his bench is also pretty good. So this kind of leads me to a market that I actually feel like there might be some value, and that's the MVP market. I am going to look at LeBron James for that because I do think his team is going to win. I also think we're in a situation right now where the Lakers are probably done for the season. It's something we're probably going to talk about on Daily Wager today, which is at 6 p.m. Eastern. But at the same time, I just think they're going to keep LeBron involved. So I'll probably try to go off in this All-Star game. And yeah, I think you probably will win MVP.
I don't even know, we're lock and step. Erin, we're lock and step. I'm with you, man. Erin, LeBron's team minus 5.5. I'm surprised that they're not favored more. Again, it's LeBron. He's in Cleveland. Chances are this is going to be his last All-Star game in Cleveland. He's going to want to stand out. He's going to want to really ball out. He's won it 4 years straight. The past 2 years by 19 and 20 points. You mentioned it. I mean, his starting Curry, Giannis, DeRozan. Of course, I'm wearing my DeRozan shirt today for DeRozan. I think there's a chance he wins
Love
the MVP. His bench with, as you said, Luka, Chris Paul, Butler. It's ridiculous. Darius Garland. There's going to be 2 Cleveland players that are going to be balling out as well. You know what they want to show out at home? The NBA, their top 5 scorers, 3 of their 5 are on LeBron's team. And like I said before, meanwhile, KD, he's not even suiting up for his team. So I'm with you on LeBron. I'm with you on the over as well. Yeah, lack of defense and a lot of players wanting to ball out on Sunday night. So I'm on the over, and also LeBron in regard to winning the MVP. And I think there's going to be a little extra juice for LeBron, playing at home in Cleveland, and also, really, what is he playing for this season? He's not going to win the MVP. To me, Lakers are out of it. So this is it. This is his big stage. This is his stage to shine this season, and I think he balls out. So we're lock and step there for sure.
Love it.
All right, and so let's take a look at some of the sucker bets out there in the NBA moving forward for the remainder of the season. Is there one sucker bet, looking at the slate, looking what's out there, futures bets, is there one sucker's bet that you're eyeing?
So one thing that I've been, keeping an eye on, and something that I've talked about at the beginning of the show, is the Brooklyn Nets odds. So again, they're plus 550 to win the NBA title, and then they're also favored to win the East. But on top of that, to win the Atlantic Division, they're actually plus 1,300 right now. So you might be confused by that because you see the Sixers, the Celtics, and the Raptors. So you might be thinking, okay, look how much value there is on the Nets, and we're thinking that they're going to have a great, they're going to play great down the stretch. That's just not going to happen, especially when betting into this market. So don't look at those odds and compare them to the NBA title odds or to the East and think that, oh my gosh, there's so much value here in this market. It's not. They're 4.5 games back from the Sixers. The Sixers just moved out to minus 250 overnight after they beat the Bucks. But again, I mean, you have a Nets squad that they're not gonna have the easiest schedule down the stretch. They're actually gonna have the 11th toughest schedule. So again, we talked about those pieces that aren't really there right now. Still figuring out what's going to happen to KD. When is Ben Simmons going to be back in the lineup? They're basically going to have to rely on Seth Curry and Andre Drummond for a little bit of this upcoming stretch. So we'll see what happens. But I just wanted to kind of point out that sucker bet, because if you think the Brooklyn Nets are just going to, turn things around suddenly after the All-Star break, that's not going to be the case.
Wow. Erin, I don't think they're ever going to let us host Bet again together, because I think we make this show boring
yours?
Because I am once again lock in step with you. The only difference is your bet has better odds than mine. My sucker bet is that the Nets will win the East, and you can get that at plus 230. I think that's a sucker bet even more so, right? Again, we don't know when Ben is going to suit up. I know that he's getting ramped up, but it's been a hot second since he's played basketball. When he does start playing, it's going to take them a minute to gel. And oh, by the way, Kyrie can't play here in Brooklyn because the dude's not back. Now, I know there's some talk and speculation that the vax mandate is going to be lifted here in New York soon. We'll see if that happens. But even so, if it happens as we get closer to the playoffs, again, I think that there's a lack of consistency here and an opportunity for these three guys to gel. Not to mention KD's injury. Is he going to be 100% ready to go when he gets back? It's going to take him a minute to get ramped up as well. 76ers, I'm expecting more from the 76ers in that trade, with Harden going to the 76ers to play with Embiid. Also, let's not forget about Boston, Erin. Boston is playing some of the best basketball this past month on both sides of the court. I mean, that is a team that has been so fun to watch and improve all season long. Don't sleep on Boston now. That is not a sucker bet. So again, we're on the same page here in regard to the Nets. And any final thoughts before we sign off?
Yeah, I mean, the Celtics have been absolutely great the last month. I mean, they're flying down the odds boards. Again, we'll see what happens with James Harden, entering into the lineup with the Sixers. I hope they, as a fan and as somebody who's been watching the Sixers, they, play well and James Harden assists Embiid and whatnot. I'm with you, and just, the Nets, I think, are a sucker bet. I think the odds makers are really going off potential rather than what they've actually seen on the court this season.
So I'm really looking forward to the remainder of the season after the All-Star break. There's such great competition forever. We've always talked about how the West has more competition. Not anymore, baby. It's the West and the East, so it certainly is going to be fun. Just as much fun as it's been hosting Bet with you, Erin. I'll see you later on tonight on Daily Wager. So stay tuned for that. Again, Daily Wager, 6 o'clock tonight on ESPN2. Both Erin and I will see you there.